to our latest edition of In the Hot Seat, a series of panel discussions focusing on how technology is solving today's problems. I'm Kyle DeWitt, Vice President of Technical Services here at ScanSource, and I'm being joined today by three panelists. I'll call them industry experts to help you, our partners, discover opportunities. Our focus today, and in this latest series, is on the mobility market. And today we'll be discussing mobile retail. So let's start by meeting our panelists. John, I'll start with you if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Kyle. My name is John Patton. I'm a distribution account manager for Cisco. I particularly focus on the Cisco Meraki networking, or as we're calling it now, networking experiences division at Cisco. I like to say that Cisco pays me, but I work for the partners.
Yeah, great. Craig, we'll come to you next.
Hi, thank you. I'm Craig Kalibian with APG Cashshore. I'm the channel sales manager here, and I work with our distribution channel, including ScanSource, to try to identify the cash management solutions that our channel needs, that the partners need to help the end users deliver safe and effective cash management solutions. So thanks, and glad to be here today.
Yeah, we said in the green room, like, we're already excited to hear about cash in a mobile retail space. We're already teed up and ready to go. Hector, last but not least.
Hi, Kyle, thanks. My name's Hector Chavez. I'm actually a sales director for mobility for Custom America. Custom America is a manufacturer of point of sale kiosks, printers, and point of mobility, mobile devices.
Great. Well, again, thank you to the three of you for joining us today. Very different organizations, the three of you, but you all play in the mobile retail space. So I'll be excited about how the conversation goes today. It would be remiss if I didn't go ahead and tell our listeners and viewers of this session that we did a whole series on retail. And so it was one of the first sessions that we did. This new series is on mobile, but they overlap. Mobility is not necessarily a vertical market, it's an industry. So we'll overlap. So we do have some content, also other content on the ScanSource website. Another series like this focuses on retail. So John, I'll start with you, but this is our all play question, the same way we start off any one of these in the hot seat discussions. But where are you starting to see technology being deployed to enable a mobile retail experience, and what kinds of problems are people still solving today?
Yeah, I'll jump right in on that.
Yeah.
I mean, on our side, particularly since we've seen an uptick and an interest in security since the pandemic, the biggest innovations and the biggest trends we're seeing are almost entirely in security. And that's split a couple ways. There's traditional security, and the way that's enhancing the mobile experience is through multi-factor authentication to get into anything, to get into a payment device, to get into any of the systems that are going to help run your business or authenticate any of your ordering. Anything like that, not having multi-factor authentication on your mobile device or on any of the mobile devices that are going to have access to greater company resources is just flying blind at this point. And then the other piece is a little bit less traditional, both in the technology space and in the networking space. And that's why we've recently changed our focus from networking to networking experiences, is increasingly physical security. We're seeing a whole IoT division pop up within Cisco, responding to a place in the market where there's a demand for cloud managed physical security, whether that's motion sensors or just cameras that are able to respond to certain alerts. Or I need to keep an eye on my entire area, and I can no longer afford a security driver. Having a cloud managed physical security solution is something that is a huge rising trend. Just being able to do less with more and pull that phone or tablet right out of your pocket and go, what's going on? Show me, and see it in real time. So yeah, security is big on our side.
Yeah, Hector, how about from Custom America? Because you guys focus on the tangible products, the physical products that make some of the point of sale elements of retail happen.
Yeah, so that's very similar to from a security standpoint as well. So the mobility piece has been around for years now, since the Windows days. So the point of the security, the IoT piece, is now you have software vendors out there really providing a catalog of products that would support that type of security multi interface. So the Cisco's of the world and the networking of the world can actually control these type of um, and the authentications of protecting the actual network. So from that standpoint, you have companies like Sodium, 42 Gears, they are putting a platform out there from a very entry level solution of managing those devices remotely to a very high end networking type of offering. Even at this point, expanding into printers and also expanding into, for example, scanners and scales.
Yeah, Craig, as I was starting this question, I kind of stumbled over my words there for a minute, because mobile retail or enabling retail to be mobile is now a 2-year-old requirement of commerce. And as we prefaced earlier, moving retail mobile does sort of tend to become a cashless transaction, but it's not always cashless. So are you guys seeing your products and other technologies being deployed in your customer base to solve new problems, or are we still solving the 2-year-old pandemic problem?
I think it's a combination of things. And when people mention mobility and point of sale, there are so many different avenues that you can go down. And I guess I'll put the industry hat on for a second instead of just the cash drawer hat. But you've got consumers that are armed with so much information just with their smartphone, being able to check a price, place an order, buy it online, pick it up in the store, click and collect. You can find information, like if you're looking for a certain product and you're in a hardware store, you can pop it on the app and you can find that. Plus there's loyalty apps, which work pretty well with some of the quick service restaurants and things like that. So there's so many different things. And then that branches off into, what devices does the store deploy for their staff, not just for checking people out, but also for helping people to find inventory or to find products or to find solutions and things like that. So it's a really broad area when you just say mobility. But when you look at it from a cash drawer perspective or from a cash management perspective, we don't recommend that you put the cash drawer on a cart and move it around the store. We don't recommend that you put it outside at the Chick-fil-A and have it in the parking lot or anything like that. But where we're doing things is we're looking where we have retailers that want to initiate transactions on a mobile device, say a phone or a tablet. The challenge is that cash requires a secure location. So when a retailer wants to initiate a cash transaction from a mobile device, we have a solution that is a networked drawer that connects to the point of sale via Ethernet, where it's in a secure fixed location. The clerk initiates the transaction from anywhere in the store, anywhere on the network, but the drawer doesn't pop open until the cashier brings a device over and scans the barcode in front of the drawer, so that they're in close proximity when the transaction is commenced. So the other nice thing is when you've got a drawer that's on a network, you can link that to your security cameras as well, so that your security camera turns on at the same time that the cash drawer opens. Thus, you've got a security feed that's synchronized with all of the action at the cash drawer. So there are a lot of different directions that mobility takes us in terms of payments and transactions and things like that. One of the other ones is just, buy it online and then go into the store to pick it up, and well, you can still pay for it with cash if that's what you decide. So there's a lot of avenues we can go down.
Yeah, and you guys, if our viewers have watched any of our other series, I give out verbal gold stars for continuity. You guys are already creating continuity between the other episodes of this series. With we have a whole one on asset management. I think we'll talk about MDM largely there, but it fits into the IoT space. And we have a whole session on mobile apps, to the user experience, the customer experience that commerce is having to do, retail is having to do to try to connect to their employees is really driving mobile app development. So we're seeing a lot more of that. Okay, so let's go outside of retail a little bit, even though that's our topic today. Any other verticals that you guys run into where the partners and or customer base are really focused on enabling a mobile experience?
Yeah, I mean, I can kick in on that. I'll say, in short, everywhere, every business, almost every business out there. I mean, as we've mentioned here, the rise of IoT, and I'm sure this will come up a few times today, but the rise of IoT, everything being connected, the scales and the printers now being connected nodes. But beyond that, what's happened on our side, what we've seen since the kickoff of the pandemic and everyone being forced to work from home, is that mobility is not just someone in retail on the go scanning things, but mobility is a lot of companies' workers now. They need to be able to have a secure connection and secure access to cloud managed assets from home on the go. So whereas there may have been a handful of folks that it was particularly important to be able to work from anywhere, it was particularly important to be able to work from home, companies are retooling their access to a lot of their cloud managed assets with a focus on mobility. It's almost as if the cloud layer of security, whether that's again, we mentioned multi-factor DNS protection, or just native network security at each one of these homes where folks are going to work, that's become the focus, and a robust kind of headquarter security has taken a back seat to just making sure that every device out there, whether it's a tablet or a cell phone, a laptop computer, a home setup, a home collaboration board, or a light bulb, is secure and is not going to allow a bad actor to work its way into your larger system.
Well, John took the easy answer, which was everywhere.
Well, I was going to touch on the OS part of that, right? Because on the OS side of that, Andrew's really made a big move in the mobility space many years ago with the warehouse and transportation area. Yeah. And that's because of the overcost of hardware, right? Hardware costs are going up, as we all know. But the phasing off of Windows many years ago really opened the door for Andrew to really take over that space in the business side. Even though iOS and Linux plays in that particular space, especially on the point of sale side, and we are seeing trends where even point of sale now, because of hardware costs, is actually migrating that over to the Android side of it too, right? With all those factors, again, going back to the security piece, all those factors bring the security of how secure is Android, which versions are we running, do we have to upgrade every year? So those type of topics are kind of where I recommend customer partners really ask those questions, because you got to look at the 5-year game instead of the 2-year game now, because Android, with the versions of upgrades that are out there, the different enterprise versions are out there, they're really making that stride, making end customers a little more uncomfortable in migrating from a Windows they've been using for many years to an Android if they're not used to that.
One of the areas that I've seen is fast food restaurants. Guys like Chick-fil-A, Portillo's, Dutch Bros, and a few others are doing a nice job utilizing wireless tablets for order entry, and it really speeds up the drive-through process, which has become kind of the dominant way that you go to a fast food restaurant these days with the pandemic. The mobile apps have also become pretty popular. Starbucks has a good one, Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, and many others. They make order placement really fast and convenient, offering rewards to customers, keeping them coming back for more. To me, I go up to a restaurant, I see a long drive-through line. It's not as discouraging because I'll just pop in my order on the app and I kind of skip in line. And, you use that mobile app. Customers tend to buy more with larger average tickets and better profits for the merchant, because they're able to kind of highlight, hey, we want you to buy this item, or we want you to buy this item. People are going to tend to focus on the shiny object on the app. So I think those apps have come a long ways and have made things pretty convenient. And that's been I think a direct result of the behaviors that they've had to deploy with the pandemic.
We've already created content today that can't be timeless because we've referenced the pandemic. I did it. It's my fault. It's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and follow suit with that by saying, we're experiencing supply chain shortages right now, and all these issues getting product in through ports. I have long since thought that if we just put Chick-fil-A in charge of the ports, we'll have all that product moving quickly. Like it would be in our warehouses, on our trucks, no problem. So Craig, let me stick with you. I've got two teenage boys. They play baseball. We do this travel baseball thing most weekends in a year. I walk up and I have to hand cash to this person sitting there with a an old school lockbox cash box in front of them. And I've had plenty of horror stories talking with those folks about somebody just walking up and running off with their cash box because they're not even using a Kensington lock or anything to keep them connected. So I know there's that kind of sports and entertainment world that's still very cash heavy. We've been talking about retail and hospitality or the restaurant world, but are there other mobile retail experiences that you're running into that are still heavy cash operated?
Yeah, well, we talked about quick service restaurants and convenience stores. People on road trips, they'll still go in and it seems like they all buy a bottle of Mountain Dew or some kind of energy drink and maybe some junk food or a jerky, or maybe you want to stay away from that hot dog that's been roasting for a week or 2 weeks or whatever. But one area that's really going to surprise you is cannabis. Roughly north of 80% of their transactions are still cash, but you go to Vegas, they actually have a drive-through lane at their biggest dispensaries. They place the order online, they go and drive through. You can even take an Uber or a Lyft to go through the lane, and you can pick up your merchandise. And it's mobility. It's kind of crazy. So in all of these different areas that we've talked about, though, you still have the option of paying with cash. Now, you mentioned the cash box. Our recommendations are always have something that's semi-secure. Cash drawer isn't a safe, but it's a temporary secure location for cash. So, we'd recommend maybe a drawer with a manual push button that you could pop open, but something that's fastened down to something hard and something semi-secure. So
if you can figure out how to solve for sticky fingers, that would be industry changing too.
Exactly.
So, John, I'll come back to you. You clearly, you and I can geek out on networking technology as I'm learning in the first few minutes here after introducing ourselves. But so let's talk a little bit about mobile experiencing is really untethering technology from the traditional lands. It might be meeting the customer curbside for pickup, et cetera. So how ready are the networks that we see in retail environment for creating this mobile retail experience?
So I'd say not very, but we're working on it.
Okay.
It's a huge push for us at Cisco as we look at Wi-Fi 6. It's something industry wide that we're all focusing on. And whereas there's different iterations of Wi-Fi frequencies that are faster and faster and faster. Wi-Fi 6 is faster, but I think the most important improvement for the 802.11ax, which is our Wi-Fi 6 band, not to get too geeky, we can do that later. But the biggest improvement is higher density, higher number of devices that can get connected. This is huge. At Cisco, we talk a lot about IoT, and nowhere more than say the retail space or the supply chain management space, manufacturing space, are we seeing the devices per square foot just really shoot up. So Cisco kind of helped coin that IoT brand a couple, I would say 15 years ago or so. And they kind of loosely defined it as IoT is the era that the number of connected devices outnumbers the number of people on the planet. And they predicted at the time that we crossed that threshold at maybe 2008 or 2009. So more connected devices than there are people on the planet. By 2015, I think McKinsey had mentioned that we were, as a human race, adding 127 connected devices per second. And by the end of this year, we're looking at nearly 24 billion connected devices. That's a lot. That is a lot of things. And that is definitely skewed towards more advanced economies. Now, for example, when I was prior to Cisco, I was on the partner side, and we were bidding for a rather large contract at a very large, pretty tech advanced public university in the state of Washington. And the requirements were, and this was 2017, the requirements were that it would need to be able to accommodate the dorms, and the device count per student that they were trying to accommodate was 10.1. And these are small shared dorm rooms. I don't know how you get 10.1 devices into that small room. That sounds crazy. That sounds like these kids have their hands on too many but then start adding up your own home, and it adds up pretty quickly.
Oh,
a thermostat, a couple of consoles, a light bulb, as we mentioned, a watch.
Yeah, wearables. Yeah,
exactly. They add up very quickly, and increasingly. The need to be able to handle all of those different devices in a very small amount of space has gone from a nice to have to a need to have. And then layer 7 are kind of on the edge. Features like traffic prioritization become absolutely huge in spaces like retail and spaces like food service, where you say, hey, let's take the Starbucks example. They offer free Wi-Fi. You can go in there and have a video call just like this if you'd like. No one's going to stop you. But if Starbucks is running point of sale devices, they need to make sure that if those are on Wi-Fi, that those always get the first bit of bandwidth.
Yep.
That the point of sale device is never slowed down because there's too many people watching YouTube or there's too many people on video calls. So density and traffic prioritization are two absolutely huge feature sets of Wi-Fi 6, and that's where we're seeing the industry go. So most of our folks are changing to that. It's not really a matter of whether or not folks in the retail space recognize that. It's more a matter of whether or not our supply chain can respond to it right now.
Yeah, there's I mean, if we go back 5 years and go to a sporting event or a concert or something along those lines, you can't use your device because of the density problem. Like if you take that story and tell that story to a store operator and say, just imagine all the devices that are coming in to your front door. If they oversaturate your network, you can't run a credit card transaction. And now all of a sudden, all these people using your loyalty app or wanting to pull up a QR code on their phone, the customer experience degrades so quickly. You didn't say security that time. You were 2 for 2 with the mic earlier, bringing up security. But that's the other key part about networks today, as far as I'm concerned.
I'll tell you, we always talk security here, and a quick plug at the end when we talk 5G. We don't see that localized network going away with 5G. Yeah. We actually see the focus on security being that 5G is going to help your phone go a whole lot quicker. But for businesses who still need to stay secure and focus on security, there's your plug, they're going to have a mobile gateway that is connected to the 5G network that's going to allow you to localize security while still taking advantage of that mobility and connection that 5G promises.
All right, Hector, so we'll come to you for the last question here. I referenced earlier, Custom America, lots of tangible devices, really focused on mobile device. So for people that are making purchasing decisions around mobile devices, what are the elements that are most important that they should be looking at?
You really need to be looking at future-proofing their hardware, right? Looking for a VAR that has the ability, VAR, customer applications, anyone that's able to just offer just the one-stop shop, that offer the one option, right? Talking Wi-Fi and Wi-Fi 6 and 5G, a lot of the devices, consumer devices that are coming out right now, they're all pretty much Wi-Fi enabled, right? There's probably a handful of manufacturers right now that are looking into now the next generation of chipsets, Qualcomm chipsets that are going to have that ability to enable the Wi-Fi. Why it's really going to depend on supply chain budgets and cost of ownership of the mobile devices they're looking to invest in. If it's tablets, if it's Windows, if it's Android or iOS. So all that's are big factors when customers are really looking into upgrading their network, right? Nowadays they have some kind of network. If it's a mom and pop shop, they might have just a home router that just is running the basic AC or just the basic N. They don't have the AC yet. So it's the cost investment on hardware is which really gonna determine how fast these customers migrate over to that. And so if you have a variety of options you can offer out there, or a bundle package, A, B, and C, those are really I think help these customers migrate to these newer technologies, and allows them to actually be flexible on the budget, right? They're going to spend a little bit here, a little bit here, year by year. Now, from the Android standpoint, iOS standpoint, looking at application apps, like Craig mentioned, apps and mobile apps are available in the stores, right? Start looking into, organizations, ISVs that have those type of options, because they want to standardize and be different from everybody else. And so if you are able to offer that type of service to your customer base, they're gonna look at you. So it's everywhere now. You can't hide from it. You can't do it. My daughter is able to go in there and just open up any app possible and get things done, right? There's a saying many years ago that started that there's an app for that, right?
Yeah.
There's an app for everything. So if we could, if VARs have the ability to offer that to their customer base, I think it takes them a long way.
Yeah, mobile experience has become one of the most critical things for a brand to be focused on, because, as you said, everyone's got an app. If you don't have an app, you're forgotten. I mean, just forget it. Like, no one's going to interact with your brand. So yeah, key point. And again, I mentioned continuity earlier. We got a whole session on mobile apps. So we hope partners that you will check that out as well. So I'll close things up and thank you again, John, Craig, and Hector for joining me today to talk about mobile retail. Partners for more content in this space, as well as the other vertical markets that I mentioned in the other In the Hot Seat panel discussions, please visit www.scansource.com/mobility for this one. And then you can link off there to the other one. So with that, I will sign us off again with one last thank you. Thank you, guys.